Welcome to Rising Influence. On May 9, 2024, tensions rose in the Indo-Pacific as Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force intercepted several Chinese naval vessels sailing uncomfortably close to the Yokosuka Naval Base, a critical hub shared by Japan and the United States. These ships, including a Chinese surveillance vessel and 2 warships, represent a growing pattern of provocative incursions into Japanese waters. But this wasn't an isolated incident, it's part of a larger geopolitical chess game.
Once again to the escalating tensions in the South China Sea, where reports say a Chinese aircraft carrier flanked by 4 destroyers and a fast combat support ship was spotted alarmingly close to a Japanese island.
Today's video will explore the escalating maritime tensions between Japan and China. We'll explore Japan's response strategies, growing alliances, and measures to counterbalance China's ambitions in the Indo-Pacific.
According to reports, 2 Chinese government ships entered the Japanese waters. This took place near the Senkaku Islands.
2 China Coast Guard vessels intruded Japan's territorial waters around the Senkaku Islands.
Japan's defense ministry released a report which was shared with the United States, claiming that its Maritime Self-Defense Force had detected the presence of several Chinese ships near Yokosuka Naval Base. Among these vessels was a Type 815G surveillance ship named Tianquanxing, along with 2 warships, the Type 054A Chongzhou and the Type 056 Luan. These ships traveled together through the Philippine Sea and into the East China Sea, coming alarmingly close to a naval base shared by Japan and the United States. In response, Japan dispatched its ships to intercept the Chinese vessels, marking one of many assertive actions Japan has taken in recent years to curb Beijing's maritime ambitions. The operation to intercept the Chinese ships stemmed from reports by Newsweek, which indicated that the 3 vessels likely were returning to China after completing naval exercises in the Indo-Pacific. Each ship posed a potential threat to Japan. The Type 815G, built by Hudong Shipyard and first deployed in 2010, measures 131 feet in length and about 23 feet in width. Its design includes a prominent central tower featuring facilities for navigation and, crucially, observation. The ship can travel up to 21 knots, approximately the same speed as a large landing ship, and can stay at sea for up to 50 days before returning to port. It also has a landing area suitable for a Ka-28 or Z-19 carrier helicopter. Furthermore, it is equipped with a range of radar domes visible on its deck, enabling it to analyze communications and missile telemetry signals. This capability makes the ship ideal for gathering intelligence near a naval base. Accompanying the surveillance vessel were 2 warships. The Type 054A, measuring just under 440 feet in length, can reach up to 28 knots. It features a flight deck with a single helicopter hangar and several radar and sonar systems. Notably, it carries a significant amount of munitions. According to Sea Forces Online, the ship is equipped with an HAKJ-16 vertical launching system containing 32 cells that can be loaded with either China's HQ-16 medium-range anti-air missiles or Yu-8 torpedoes. Additionally, it has 8 box launchers for YJ-83 anti-ship missiles, a 76mm gun, and 430mm close-in weapon systems, CIWs, making it a formidable vessel that can protect a spy ship while it gathers intelligence. The Type 056 warship is less powerful, measuring 291 feet and capable of traveling at 25 knots. It features a flight deck for a Z-9 helicopter and has an 8-cell launcher for firing short-range HQ-10 anti-air missiles and 2 2-cell tube launchers for YJ-83 anti-ship missiles, like those found on the Type 054A. It also includes a 76 mm gun, a pair of triple torpedo tubes, and 230 mm CIWs, making it a significant threat, particularly in a supporting role. In May 2024, all three ships passed through Japan's territorial waters, navigating through its southwestern islands. Japan's response was swift. According to Newsweek, an interception operation was conducted to guide the Chinese ships away from the base and back into the ocean. Japan deployed several naval assets in international waters in response to increased activity from China's military. This included the JS Kuroshima, a Sugashima-class minesweeper specifically chosen for its ability to keep pace with the Type P-815G Chinese vessels. Japan also sent the JS Yamagiri, an Asagiri-class destroyer, to counter China's more powerful ships. According to sea forces, this destroyer is equivalent to the Type 054A in size, measuring about 450 feet long and capable of reaching a top speed of 30 knots. Like the Type 054A, the JS Yamagiri has a flight deck, a hangar that can house an SH-60J/K Seahawk helicopter, and a range of advanced weapon systems. These include two Mk. 141 missile launchers were designed to fire RGM-84 harpoons and a Mimbe. 29 missile launcher was equipped with 8 RIM-7 Sea Sparrow surface-to-air missiles. Additionally, an Oto Malara 76 mm gun serves as a counter to the Type 054A's own 76 mm gun, while the built-in Mk-16 launcher provides anti-submarine capabilities. Later models of this ship also come equipped with two Mk-15 Phalanx CIWs units, which can fire up to 4,500 rounds per minute, making it a formidable match against China's warships. This naval presence was further supported by a P-3C maritime patrol aircraft. Although primarily designed for anti-submarine warfare, the P-3C is also equipped with AGM-65F Maverick and AGM-84K SLAM-ER missiles, capable of inflicting significant damage on surface vessels. With AGM-84 Harpoon missiles, various torpedoes, mines, rockets, and depth charges at its disposal, the P-3C provided Japan with an aerial advantage in case China's ships chose to launch an attack. Fortunately, no attack occurred. China's vessels ultimately left Japan's waters under the watchful eye of Japan's ships and aircraft, resulting in a tense situation that resolved somewhat peacefully. However, this incident was not an isolated occurrence. It was part of a pattern of incursions by the Chinese Navy. China's activities in Japanese waters have been escalating, particularly in 2024, as reported by both Newsweek and the U.S. Naval Institute, USNI. In early April 2024, just a month before the interception, the USNI noted several instances of ships from China's People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, sailing through the waters between Japan and Taiwan. The situation has been exacerbated by China's use of uncrewed aerial vehicles and surveillance aircraft, as well as possible collaboration with Russia for surveillance operations. USNI has established a timeline indicating that between March 25th and March 27th, 2024, the planned destroyer CNS Changchun was accompanied by a frigate called CMS Changzhou, sailing within 93 miles of Miyako Island. According to international maritime law, this distance is significant because a country can claim an exclusive economic zone, EEZ, extending up to 200 nautical miles from its coastline. Within this zone, the government has complete jurisdiction over all living and non-living resources and can control which ships can enter. China's presence within 93 miles of Miyako Island meant that Chinese vessels operated in Japanese waters without consent. The plan continued to test these boundaries, and between March 27th and March 28th, their ships sailed north, passing between Yonaguni Island and Taiwan and coming within 50 miles of Uotsuri Island. While officially owned by Japan, Uotsuri Island is also claimed by both China and Taiwan, indicating that the plan's maneuvers were likely intended to intimidate Japan by asserting China's claims over territory it believes rightfully belongs to it. In response, Japan dispatched a DE-234 vessel to shadow the Chinese ships. Japan has deployed a destroyer and several maritime patrol aircraft to monitor activities near China. On March 25th, the Chinese Shupang-class survey ship Mao Yisheng approached within 25 miles of Yonaguni Island, entering Japanese territorial waters. During the week leading up to April 2nd, 2024, Japan also tracked a Y-9 electronic surveillance aircraft, a WZ-7 uncrewed aerial vehicle, UAV, and operations by the CNS Huainan destroyer, CNS Diking frigate, and a fleet oil tanker named CNS Kikixilihu, all of which entered or flew over Japanese waters. Additionally, the Russian intelligence ship Karalia was spotted 31 miles southwest of Oshakujima, contributing to a pattern of maritime protocol violations by both countries aimed at intimidating Japan. The increase in incursions is evident, with the Chinese vessels sailing near Japan's southwestern islands being the most recent examples of the People's Liberation Army Navy plan, disregarding maritime law. This escalation has been noticeable since 2021, when Japan's maritime self-defense forces intercepted Chinese or Russian military vessels in its territorial waters 67 times. This number more than doubled to 132 in 2022, and it remained steady in 2023, with 133 interceptions recorded. A report from USNI confirms that the plan is not slowing down. CNN reported in May 2024 that Chinese Coast Guard ships have maintained an unprecedented presence, spending 158 consecutive days in the waters surrounding several uninhabited Japanese islands in the East China Sea, known as the Senkaku Islands in Japan. Although these incursions do not technically violate international maritime law, as China is operating within the contiguous zone, which extends another 12 nautical miles from Japan's territorial waters, this prolonged presence is considered provocative. China claims these islands and others like Uotsuri Island should belong to them, further escalating tensions. China's naval activity sends a clear message to Japan. They are vigilant and may test the limits of Japanese sovereignty to provoke a military response. However, Japan has strategically chosen to greet planned ships with its naval forces rather than confront them. This approach showcases Japan's naval capabilities while avoiding unnecessary conflict. As for Japan's response to the Chinese Navy, it has been actively sending ships to counter-plan incursions into its territory. This tit-for-tat strategy involves Japan dispatching a destroyer to meet Chinese vessels entering their waters, often accompanied by aerial support to assert their dominance. Beyond immediate responses, Japan is strengthening its naval capabilities in preparation for future conflicts with China, deepening alliances with other nations as part of its defense strategy. In August 2023, the U.S. Department of Defense published a press release announcing it would strengthen its defensive ties with Japan and South Korea. This trilateral agreement has been coming for a long time, as both Japan and South Korea were already bilateral allies of the U.S. The three-way deal marks a new way for the nations to collaborate. The three countries committed to enhancing their defensive cooperation, including conducting multi-domain military exercises as part of this agreement. Information sharing is also a key aspect of the agreement. It benefits Japan by providing access to its partners' knowledge about China, North Korea, and general activities in the Indo-Pacific region. The trilateral agreement has already yielded positive results for Japan, which has started regular training operations with its new partners. One of the most recent exercises, conducted in April 2024, involved a two-way drill led by the USS Theodore Roosevelt. Japan sent a warship to participate, while South Korea dispatched guided missile destroyers to accompany the American vessels. The drill occurred in disputed waters, with the three nations working together for 2 days in the East China Sea. Following these drills, meetings were held between the three countries and leaders from the Philippines, another nation concerned about increasing Chinese aggression and territorial claims in its waters. Japan's partnership with the U.S. runs even more profound. In March 2024, Al Jazeera reported that Japanese government spokesman Yoshimasa Hayashi stated that Japan and the U.S. discussed ways to increase military collaboration and integration. He mentioned, Japan and the United States have been discussing ways to strengthen cooperation in command and control to enhance interoperability and readiness. These comments were made in anticipation of a summit attended by U.S. President Joe Biden and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Al Jazeera said the summit included plans to implement the most significant upgrade to the security alliance between Japan and the United States since the Mutual Defense Treaty was signed in 1960. Why is this significant? It highlights how seriously Japan is taking China's aggressive actions in and around its territorial waters. Japan aims to bolster its naval capabilities to demonstrate to China that it is not intimidated. These collaborative efforts are crucial because Japan's navy, on its own, would likely be outmatched by China in direct combat. According to Global Firepower, which annually ranks 145 military nations using its Power Index scoring system, Japan has the 21st strongest navy in the world based on fleet strength. This amounts to 155 naval assets, including 23 submarines, 36 destroyers, and 22 mine warfare vessels. In contrast, China surpasses Japan in every category. Global Firepower ranks China as having the world's second strongest navy, with the People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, controlling 730 vessels. While there is debate about whether the U.S. possesses a stronger navy due to the more significant displacement of its ships, the sheer number of assets puts China significantly ahead of Japan. China has 61 submarines compared to Japan's 23, 13 more destroyers, a much more extensive fleet of frigates and corvettes, and 14 additional mine warfare vessels. Additionally, China has 2 aircraft carriers, which enable it to deploy a significant portion of its 1,207 fighter aircraft in a naval conflict. Japan is at a disadvantage compared to China. Therefore, the cooperative agreements it is forming with nations like the US and South Korea are essential for supplementing its naval capabilities. Japan is actively strengthening its naval capabilities to threaten China more significantly. Beijing understands that any attack on Japan would also be an attack on South Korea and the United States, further disrupting the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. For this reason, China is unlikely to initiate hostilities. Instead, it is provoking Japan by sending numerous ships into Japanese territorial waters. In response, Japan's approach is both intelligent and measured. Rather than retaliating with aggression, Japan sent its vessels to monitor the situation while quietly building partnerships that would support its defense during a Chinese attack. This strategy mirrors NATO's collective defense principles, demonstrating Japan's commitment to strengthening its capabilities through collaboration. However, Japan is not simply relying on the defense of stronger allies, but also enhancing its naval power to ensure it can effectively engage in combat if it faces China alone. For example, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force has begun commissioning new ships. In April 2022, USNI News reported commissioning the JS Kumano, the first of the new Mogami-class multi-role frigates. These frigates are 436 feet long and can travel at speeds exceeding 30 knots. They include features similar to the Asagiri-class destroyer that Japan deployed to respond to a trio of Chinese ships in May. The Mogami-class frigates have a flight deck and a hangar for a Mitsubishi SH-60K helicopter, making them versatile. Their armament is noteworthy, highlighted by a 16-cell Mk.41 vertical launching system capable of firing Type 03 surface-to-air missiles. The frigates also boast an Mk-145 127 mm gun, which surpasses the firepower of the two Chinese warships that approached Japanese territory in May. Additionally, they have missile launchers for Type 17 SSM-2 anti-ship missiles and torpedo tubes that fire Type 12 torpedoes, along with an Mk-15 Mod .31 CRAM Close-In Weapon System, CIWS. This makes the Mogami class suitable for defending against aerial, maritime, and submarine threats. Recent developments reported by the Chinese military in 2023 indicate that Japan's Navy aims to further bolster its capabilities by developing several unmanned combat systems, including amphibious armored vehicles and multi-purpose uncrewed vessels. Japan is also purportedly working on new anti-torpedo and ship-to-air missiles, likely intended for its new multi-role frigates and intelligence-gathering aircraft. This shift is significant for a country historically emphasizing defensive military rhetoric over offensive capabilities. For instance, an intelligence-gathering plane would be more advantageous for collecting information over Chinese waters than for patrolling Japan's coast. Backing this strategic shift is Japan's record military budget request. In August 2023, Reuters reported that Japan's defense ministry sought 7.7 trillion yen, approximately $52.7 billion, for its 2024 defense budget. This plan is part of a broader initiative to increase defense spending to 2% of Japan's gross domestic product by 2027, underscoring Japan's direct response to ongoing regional threats. Japanese and North Korean aggression. The 2024 budget proposal represents a 13% increase over the 2023 budget, with nearly 1 trillion yen added. The Japanese Navy is a significant focus of this budget request. Approximately 900 billion yen will be allocated for weapons and ammunition purchases, particularly emphasizing air defense missiles that can be deployed from ships. Additionally, around 600 billion yen will be dedicated to strengthening Japan's defenses along its southwestern island chains, the same chains China's trio of ships navigated in May 2024. The budget request was approved and Japan's defense ministry exceeded its target for 2024, receiving 7.95 trillion yen, approximately $55.90 billion by the end of December 2023. Japan's Navy is already utilizing these funds effectively. According to Naval News, $2.59 billion of this budget will be used to construct 2 Aegis system-equipped vessels, AS-Eves, which Japan aims to make the cornerstone of its missile defense system. Each of these ships will be 623 feet long and capable of displacing 12,000 tons of water, making the ASEV 1.7 times larger than the new Flight 3 Arleigh Burke-class missile destroyer commissioned by the U.S. Navy. These vessels will require a crew of 240 members and will be equipped with an Mk-45 127 mm gun, SM-6 missiles and a system capable of firing American Tomahawk cruise missiles. Furthermore, an anti-drone laser system will be retrofitted into the new ships starting in 2032. So where does this leave Japan concerning its conflict with the Chinese Navy? In short, Japan's Navy is taking significant steps to respond to increasing Chinese aggression. Every Chinese incursion into its territorial waters is met with Japanese vessels that are prepared to engage if needed. As Japan asserts its control over its territory, it is also collaborating with the United States and South Korea to enhance its naval defenses. All three nations conduct semi-regular drills in disputed waters, demonstrating that Japan can now counter China's intimidation efforts. Japan's military budget, although only about 1/5 of China's $236.1 billion budget for 2024, has reached record levels. Moreover, Japan is commissioning new and formidable ships to enhance its defenses and make its navy a more formidable offensive force. While China is unlikely to be deterred by these developments and will continue its provocations in Japanese waters, it must acknowledge that Japan is responding decisively by strengthening its military capabilities. As tensions rise, Japan is preparing to be ready should those tensions escalate into conflict. Will these measures be sufficient for Japan's navy to overcome China's if a war breaks out? Share your thoughts in the comments on Japan's naval strengthening and the increasing cooperation with the United States. Thank you for watching Rising Influence. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for deeper insights into current events, history, and geopolitical dynamics. Let us know in the comments how you think Japan's strategy will evolve in the coming years.